Sony have just announced the full list of games for the PS1 Classic. Here are my initial thoughts.
Team Canada.
What's going on, guys? SeeJayAre here, back with another PS1 Classic video. They just announced the full list of 20 games, and I'm going to tell you those 20 games, and we're going to go over kind of my thoughts on the PS1 Classic in general, and my thoughts on some of the games that were added and some of the games that didn't make the list. So let's go through this in alphabetical order. We've got Battle Arena Toshinden, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy VII, Grand Theft Auto, the original on the PS1 Classic, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, as we knew, Metal Gear Solid made the list, Mr. Driller, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations Persona, which I believe is Persona 1, yes, R4, Ridge Racer Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. Okay, so going through this list, I'm going to mention 3 or 4 games that I just don't think should be on the Classic, in my opinion. I would have left these titles off, and I'll give you some substitutes that I think would have been nice to be on the PS1 Classic. Let me know in the comments below what you think should have been on the PS1 Classic. I'm sure you guys will have plenty to say. So starting with the most glaring game on here that I just feel doesn't make sense on this console, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. PS1 shooters do not hold up very well. I would have left Rainbow Six, and I would have left Siphon Filter off. I know that Siphon Filter is kind of a PS1 classic that a lot of people remember, but those games just do not hold up very well. The number one game that I would have on this system that I thought was a very realistic game to be on this system and that fans would have loved was this guy right here, Parappa the Rapper. I'm not saying that this is like the greatest PS1 game ever, but this is a game that people have a connection with, and I think that simply substituting Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six with this guy right here, and to me there's no point of why this game didn't make it other than the HD remake, and if they for some reason thought that that was going to cannibalize the HD remake sales at this point, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'll talk about HD remakes more in a minute, but I just think simply substituting this in the place of Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six would have made a lot of fans more happy. There's been a lot of uproar that I've seen on social media this morning with people canceling pre-orders because whatever game they wanted to be on the system was not there. I'm still going to get one. There's a handful of games on here that make it a must-buy for me, including let me just finish here of games that I think they could have done without. You know what? I think those are really the only two that really stand out to me, Siphon Filter and Rainbow Six. I just don't think that they're a very good fit for this console. You know, you could argue Cool Borders 2, I think, is the best in the series, and I played that, and I'll be excited to go back to it, but again, those type of snowboarding games, I'm not sure how well they hold up. Destruction Derby is a personal favorite of mine, but I could see how people wouldn't be interested in that. Battle Arena Toshinden is a early PS1 fighter that people have a lot of memories of, and I remember it being a decent fighter. So I guess they felt that they had to add another fighting game to this. In terms of puzzles, I think they've got their grounds well covered here. Intelligent Cube is a game that I don't think I've actually even played, but I know it's really expensive at this point. I think it's pretty uncommon. I'm excited to try that one out. Mr. Driller is a classic puzzle game. I know Gamer Alley, that's one of his favorite PS1 games. He was happy to see that on there. And for me, it's Super Puzzle Fighter 2. When I saw that, I'll tell you right now, that's the game I'll be playing most on the PS1 Classic. I play predominantly on my classic systems, on my classic Nintendo systems, puzzle games. I play like crazy, so that's a fantastic puzzle game. Really happy to see that on there. I think they have their grounds well covered when it comes to puzzle games. RPGs. They added another RPG, which I didn't think that they would do. They added Revelations Persona 1. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive that's Persona 1. So RPG, well covered. You've got Persona, you've got Wild Arms, Final Fantasy VII, and that's it for RPGs. A lot of people are going to complain about, you know, Legend of Dragoon or whatever RPG is your favorite that they left out. I think you have to admit, though, that RPGs are pretty well covered in this game. Racing games, they did not add a Gran Turismo game. It makes sense to me. There's car licensing issues. They would have to go out and get the licenses for all those cars that were in that game again. That's not going to happen. I'm kind of jumping around here, but obviously beyond happy to see Resident Evil and Metal Gear on there. I think those were two must-have games on this system. People would have lost their minds if Metal Gear Solid wasn't on there. Metal Gear Solid is my favorite game of all time. Um, People will talk about the lack of analog control, which is an issue in my opinion. The one thing that I think Sony really kind of dropped the ball on, and maybe they're saving this for a last minute announcement, I doubt it. They simply should have added support for PS3 and PS4 controllers. I think that would have been pretty easy for them to do. So you could, one, use a wireless controller with your games, and then have the functionality of the analog sticks. I think that that's a no-brainer to me. They really should have done that. Like I said, easy analog function, and you get wireless controllers. And almost everybody's got a PS3 or PS4 controller laying around, or they're easily purchasable. So I think that that's kind of where that was a bit of a misstep. In terms of games that are not on this system, there are no Crash Bandicoot games. There are no Spyro games. Now, I thought it was silly when people suggested that they would leave those games out because of the HD remasters. It seems like that's what they did. I really don't understand that. I don't think that there's many people that were going to buy both or sit there and go, well, I'm not going to buy the HD remaster if I have it on my PS1 Classic. In my opinion, those are two very different audiences. So again, I disagree with that. I think that there definitely should have been a Crash game on here. Would have been nice to see Crash Team Racing and Crash Bandicoot 1. Now they did add a Twisted Metal game, Twisted Metal 1, which that's totally fine with me. I would have rather seen Twisted Metal 2, but that's great. One of the nicest additions here, do I have a copy here? I do. One of the nicest additions to the PS1 Classic is Rayman. Pretty good platformer, PS1 platformer. I think it was on other systems too, but great, colorful platforming game that I just think adds something to the PS1 Classic. So happy to see that on there. What else can we touch on here? They added the original Grand Theft Auto. Interesting addition. I'm not sure how well received that game is, but I think it's kind of cool to have on there. Jumping Flash was announced earlier. That's a game that I'll be playing a lot because I don't own that and I've never actually played it. I'm not a big fan of the Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey games. I would have loved to see a Tony Hawk game on here, but I think that that makes sense with licensing music that game is not on here. For me, there's a handful. There's 5 or 6 games on here that make this a must-own for me, and I'm happy with those games alone. And I kind of see the rest as kind of a bonus. Those games being Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, Tekken 3 is a big one for me, and then of course Super Puzzle Fighter. But yeah, it'll be interesting because it'll be interesting to see if this system is hackable. If it's easily hackable and there's a little bit of spare space on the drive when it comes from Sony, it really won't matter what the games are, and you'll just be able to add your own. So it'll be interesting to see whether Sony made it extremely hard to add more games, or if they just left it open knowing that people are going to hack and add games. If that's the case, then this list doesn't really matter. But one of the big glaring omissions for this system to me is simply adding PS3 and PS4 controller support. I mean, I could be missing something. Let me know in the comments below if there's like a reason why that just couldn't happen. I could be missing something here, but to me that would have been a very easy addition that would have solved several problems with, obviously using wireless controllers, and then the dual analog solution would be nice too. So yeah, that's kind of all my input. I'm still going to pick one up, obviously, but as you can see, I'm not the average consumer. I pick up almost every new little gaming gadget. I see a lot of people saying, I laugh, that Sony's copying Nintendo with their classic systems. There was plenty of classic systems before Nintendo did it. The AtGames has been making those classic plug and plays and television, ColecoVision, Genesis for years now. So I see a lot of negative feedback right now on social media, and a lot of it I just kind of makes me laugh. People were not everyone was going to be happy. I think it's a pretty good list of games with, touching on fighting, racing, puzzle, platforming. So I think it's a good little package. I think it'll come down to how easily you can add games to the system if that's something you do, which will void your warranty, I'm sure. So I don't recommend hacking your systems. Do not hack those systems because you may void your warranty, and you can only use games that you own. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the PS1 Classic in general, and let me know if you are happy or at least content with the 20 games that were announced. And feel free to let me know which games you feel like should have been on the system. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and until the next episode.